A clan chief with nothing left to lose does the one thing his enemies never accounted for, and it might be the only reason a single member of his bloodline survives the night. This is where Battle Through the Heavens episode 209 is taking us. Guys, here is a quick note. This follows the novel, so some details differ from the Donghua. Quick recap first, since we covered the setup in detail last time. Xiao Yan's 9-grade Profound Pill triumph, and Yao Lao's name being restored to the clan monument, turned out to be the calm before catastrophe. Hun Clan dropped his disguise, demanded the Medicine Clan's fragment of the Tuoshe ancient Emperor Jade, revealed himself as a concealed Seven-Star Dou Saint by nearly killing Elder Wanhuo, and sealed the entire Yao Realm before summoning the true body of the Nihility Devouring Flame, a heavenly flame powerful enough to strip Dou Qi from anyone it touched. Yao Dan's last resort, the ancestral heaven-transforming medicine formation, briefly summoned back the remnant soul of the clan's own Dou god ancestor to fight for them. This episode picks up with that last hope failing. Because it does fail, the formation shatters inch by inch under the flame's relentless erosion, and even the ancestral remnant soul is eventually swallowed whole without a trace. The situation is now completely hopeless, and Yao Dan understands it before anyone else does. Something in his expression shifts to pure horror, as if he's just grasped something unimaginably terrible, and then he moves. In a flash he's below, sweeping dozens of the clan's younger generation into his grasp with one motion, and he roars an order that will define the rest of this episode. Yao Clan elders, self-destruct and destroy this sealed space. We may sacrifice ourselves, but we must preserve the seeds of our clan's bloodline. And the response to that cry is the emotional gut punch of the whole chapter. Faced with a straight choice between watching their entire clan die for nothing or sacrificing themselves to save even a handful of the young, the Yao Clan's experts choose without a moment's hesitation. Light erupts from body after body across the sky as their Dou Qi destabilizes toward detonation. Hun Chu's expression cracks in alarm. He knows exactly what a mass self-destruction inside a sealed space can do. Even with the whole realm locked down, enough simultaneous explosions from powerful cultivators can genuinely tear the seal itself open. The problem is, the Nihility Devouring Flame is currently busy devouring the entire realm's worth of life all at once, spread too thin across countless devouring creatures to spare any attention for this new threat. Hun Clan doesn't wait for it to notice. He crushes a scroll from his storage ring, and out of the flaming passage it opens step the Hun Clan's real reinforcements, 2 of the Hun Clan's 4 demon saints, Hun Jing and Hun Yan. Yao Dan recognizes them instantly, and there's real bitterness in his voice. Sending 2 of the 4 demon saints at once means the Hun Clan is taking his family seriously as a threat, even now. Hun Jing offers one last contemptuous mercy, submit as a subordinate clan, and the Hun Clan might let the bloodline survive. Yao Dan's answer doesn't leave room for negotiation. The Yao Clan would rather shed its final drop of blood than live in submission and humiliation. Hun Jing shrugs and gives the order without a flicker of hesitation. Kill them all, leave no survivors. What follows is the clan's mass sacrifice in full. And it's worth sitting with how the chapter frames it. The first Yao Clan elder detonates, and his death seems to ignite everyone else's resolve, one after another. The light inside their bodies intensifies and explodes, each blast distorting the sealed space a little further, tiny cracks spreading across it like breaking glass. Yao Dan watches the space visibly weakening, with joy flashing through his eyes. But beneath that joy sits immeasurable grief, because only a short while ago this same clan was peaceful and prosperous, and now the survivors are being forced to destroy themselves just to buy an escape route for the young. Continue, he roars, and more elders detonate without hesitation. Hun Jing isn't willing to let this work cleanly. He sweeps his sleeve and conjures a gigantic hand of black energy that snatches up anyone attempting to self-destruct near the weakening section of space and hurls them elsewhere. Because a detonation anywhere else in the sealed zone accomplishes nothing. Yao Dan sees this interference and calls out for backup. Wanhuo, Elder Wanhuo, already soaked in blood from his earlier beating, charges forward instantly with several other powerful elders in tow, their Dou Qi already boiling in preparation to fight. But Hun Clan himself flickers into position ahead of them and personally drags Wanhuo's entire group into a fierce, pinning battle, neutralizing the one counter that might have actually stopped Hun Jing. And this is the moment Yao Dan makes his real gamble, turning to the one person left who might actually get anyone out alive, Xiao Yan. He appears directly in front of him and says something extraordinary for a man of his station, that he's never begged anyone in his life, but today he's begging Xiao Yan to help preserve the last trace of the Yao clan's bloodline, using the very spatial crack his clan's sacrifices are tearing open. Xiao Yan's heart grows heavy looking into Yao Dan's bloodshot eyes, but he also needs exactly what's being offered to break out of this seal himself, so refusing isn't really an option his conscience would let him take anyway. Clan Chief Yao Dan, I will do everything within my power. Elder Shen Song flies over to join in without being asked. Yao Dan lays out the plan on the spot. He'll personally hold back Hun Jing and Hun Yan, while the remaining elders tear the surrounding space further open, and then he shoots upward like a meteor, straight into combat with both demon saints at once, while his remaining elders rush the weakening section and keep detonating. Xiao Yan gives the signal to move, and the group races toward the concentrated self-destruction zone at full speed. But the Hun clan's actual objective was never to let anyone escape at all. The second Xiao Yan's group commits to moving, every devouring creature scattered across the mountains, and every Hun clan expert in the sky, changes target and surges toward them like a flood from every direction at once. Right as Xiao Yan's expression tightens at the sight, Elder Shennong throws out his medicinal staff, and a sea of green flame spreads across the battlefield, giant trees erupting from within it, their branches twisting like living vines to entangle and hold back the incoming enemies. With Shennong buying them a window, Xiao Yan pushes Yao Tian, Yao Ling, and the surviving younger generation forward, at even greater speed. And here's a genuinely striking detail worth flagging, because it's a piece of lore we didn't have before. Watching Xiao Yan close in on the weak point, Hun Shuzi shouts a warning to the Nihility Devouring Flame itself. That brat also possesses a fragment of the Tuoxia Ancient Emperor Jade. So it turns out Xiao Yan is personally carrying a fragment of the exact same treasure this entire massacre was engineered to steal, something never revealed until this very moment. The flame, mid-devouring across the whole realm, just snorts back irritably. Do you think this lord can split himself into 3 heads and 6 arms? It genuinely can't spare the attention. So Hun Yan takes the job himself. He mockingly breaks off from Yao Dan entirely. Did you truly believe you could hold back both of us by yourself? How foolish. And drops toward Xiao Yan's group like a hunting eagle, appearing directly in their path almost instantly. Xiao Yan reads him immediately as at least late-stage 7-Star Dou Saint, genuinely stronger than Yao Dan, and positioned exactly where they need to break through. Xiao Yan sends the North King in first without hesitation, his loyal puppet charging Hun Yan head-on. Hun Yan doesn't even retreat. A single palm forms into a hand hundreds of feet wide that blocks every attack and staggers the North King back with each contact, half-inch depressions actually appearing across its normally indestructible body. Even at full strength, the North King is simply overmatched against a being at this level. While the North King buys precious seconds, Xiao Yan makes his move. He merges the purifying demonic lotus flame completely with his own soul, unleashing his destruction fire body, his strongest available form, and condenses 6 different heavenly flames swirling in his palm into a dazzling multicolored fire lotus in just a few breaths. He throws it, and it detonates near Hun Yan in a colossal firestorm, only for black energy to erupt from within and forcibly suppress the flames, leaving Hun Yan almost completely unharmed. Even Xiao Yan's strongest fire genuinely isn't enough against a late-stage 7-Star Dou Saint on its own. Elder Shennong confirms it. Hun Yan's aura did take real damage, just nowhere near enough to matter. So Xiao Yan asks for help, and this is where the episode's title move gets built in real time. He calls for Shennong's own staff and Yao Tian's flame, and Yao Tian releases the Turtle Spirit Earth Flame, ranked 13th on the Heavenly Flame ranking, into Xiao Yan's grip. With 6 flames already merged into his fire body and 2 more added on top, Xiao Yan begins condensing 8 full heavenly flames into what becomes the legendary Buddha's Fury Flame Lotus, the 8-colored fire lotus, a technique this exact desperate moment is what forges into existence. Hun Yan feels the buildup and genuinely reacts with alarm. Even he can tell this gathering power is a real threat. He slams the North King aside with one strike and charges Xiao Yan directly, brushing off Yao Lao's desperate volley of Dou Qi attacks without even looking, sneering that a group of insignificant juniors shouldn't dream of escaping the Hun Clan. His claw-like fingers slam into Xiao Yan's chest, tearing 5 deep wounds through his dragon-scale defenses, wounds that would have been far worse without the ancient dragon phoenix armor absorbing the worst of it. Xiao Yan is sent flying backward from the blow. And that's exactly the opening Xiao Yan needed. Flying backward, bleeding, he simply smiles and says one word, explode. The 8-colored fire lotus, already hovering in front of Hun Yan this whole time, detonates in full. Beams of devastating energy tear outward in every direction, and the true force of the lotus erupts in a light bright enough to nearly cover the entire Yao realm, an indescribable shockwave sweeping outward with heat intense enough to melt the surrounding mountain range. When it finally clears, Hun Yan's body crashes to the ground wrapped in weakened black energy, his aura noticeably diminished. Elder Shen Nong and the others can barely believe it. Xiao Yan has just pushed a late-stage 7-star Dou Saint to the edge of serious injury. Xiao Yan doesn't linger to celebrate. His own condition is just as poor. The 8-colored lotus cost him far more than he'd expected, but the reward is exactly what they needed. The shockwave has torn a spatial crack several dozen feet wide, directly through the weakened seal. We need to leave now. He leads the charge toward it immediately. Back on the other battlefield, Hun Yan, humiliated and furious, shouts for Hun Jing to stop them. Hun Jing, still locked in combat with Yao Dan and genuinely stunned that Xiao Yan actually defeated Hun Yan, prepares to break off and intercept, but Yao Dan senses it coming before he can move. And here's the final, devastating beat of the chapter. A wild, fierce smile crosses Yao Dan's face as his own Dou Qi surges violently toward its absolute limit. He looks toward Xiao Yan, already leading Yao Tian and the survivors into the widening crack, and simply says, "Xiao Yan, thank you." A relieved smile settles over him, and then, a moment later, an explosion no smaller than the 8-colored fire lotus itself detonates across the blood-soaked Yao realm, Yao Dan giving everything he has left to keep Hun Jing pinned in place and buy the escaping group the last seconds they need. Hundreds of miles from the Shenong mountain range, a crack tears open in the empty sky, and one battered figure after another spills out of it onto a distant mountain peak. Only once everyone has finally made it through do they let out the breaths they'd been holding. They've escaped the land of death. So think about what this chapter just cost, and what it bought. A clan built entirely around alchemy, around creation, around healing, was systematically dismantled by an enemy that had been planning this for who knows how long, and the only reason any of the younger generation survived is that their elders chose, one after another, to turn themselves into the very weapon that cracked the seal open. Yao Dan's final act wasn't a victory. It was a father buying his clan's children one more chance to exist. So what happens now, with Xiao Yan carrying a fragment of the exact treasure that started this entire massacre, and the Yao Clan reduced to whoever just crawled out of that crack? That's where we pick up next time. If you're enjoying this arc, hit that like button, drop a comment on whether Yao Dan's sacrifice was worth what it cost, and subscribe so you don't miss what's left of the Yao Clan going forward.